guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's episode of Faith Corner. I'm shouting because I forgot my earphones so I didn't intend on coming to shoot this video, but it has happened. AsandaNtini, and I do content on faith and law. Two very different things, but two very important things to me and my lifestyle, as I am a lifestyle creator, or as I would like to call myself. Anyways, today we're speaking about doubt. What is doubt? Doubt starts with, and this is a combination of things that I've read, studied in the Bible, and also seen on many faith-based blogs that I've read in preparation for this video. Anyways, doubt starts when you shift from God and start to listen to other people and start to accept other people as wisdom, or their thoughts as wisdom, instead of what God says. You start questioning the promises and the truths of uNkulunkulu. The first person is in Genesis 3, when serpent came to Eve to tempt her. Eve knew that what God said. God said, do not eat from the tree of life, otherwise you will die. The devil comes to her, serpent comes to her and says, but that's not true. You're not gonna die. He's just doesn't want you to be like him. And she started seeing things from their perspectives. She started seeing, was actually, this is really a beautiful fruit. This is really a beautiful thing that I might be missing out on. And that's how the devil gets to all of us. That's how doubt is. And yeah, I have notes here, so that's why I keep looking down. So once she's done that, she obviously doesn't die, but she gets shifted from the covering of God. She and her husband gets like a bit of a shift where they feel that actually we now see ourselves in ways that we couldn't see ourselves before. Anyways, that's a story of another day. So doubt is a wavering of two minds, or lacking of confidence, assurance, or complete trust in God. And it is the deviation from God about good thoughts and deeds that about God in thought and deed. James 1 verse 6 and 7 states that, but when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, like the sea that I'm looking at right now, who is blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from God. When we start, to doubt, we shouldn't expect to receive anything from God. That's how bad doubt is. That's how much doubt does for our relationship and our lives with God. And it is a feeling of uncertainty, often leading to taking matters into our own hands, into our logical thinking, into ways that would rather accept logic or thought instead of what God says. An example of somebody who applied logic into a God thing is Zachariah, when he was approached by an angel stating that Elizabeth will be with child and will give birth, and that child should be named John. He was like, there's no way, we are so old, we're gonna have children. And what happened there again is that God put shame to him and to his doubt and application of logic, and was made mute until the promise of God manifested, until John the Baptist was actually born. So yeah, you know that story from Luke 1. So in as much as doubt it is a sin, I'll define it as a sin, but it's not just only a lack of faith. So once you doubt, you should just run away from God. That's the devil convincing you to do that, because I feel that it is a tool that's used by the devil to keep us from promises or abilities of God. Like if you're going to listen to doubt, you are not going to maybe pursue that career that you want. You're not going to pursue that relationship that you want. You're not going to pursue the lifestyle that you want to create yourself, for your family. You're not going to break those generational curses that you wanted to break simply because there's a doubt. There's somebody who comes in and says, in your mind, and says, you don't deserve this, or God has never done this in your generation before. God has never done something like this in your family before. What makes you think that he will do it for you? An example of people doubting God's abilities, though, like somebody who's already in the blessing. You know, when you're already in the thing, there are people that are already in blessings, they start to have this imposter syndrome. Like, you've already been placed into a promise of God. You've already been placed into this big job that you've always wanted. You've already been placed in this amazing home, and then you start feeling like an imposter. I feel like that's what was happening with Peter in Matthew 14 verse 31, when he started drowning after having walked on the sea for a few steps with God. He started doubting God. He started maybe feeling like an imposter. I don't know what were his thoughts that way, but I would feel that a person who would have this feeling that he had would be somebody who started feeling like an imposter. Doubt is basically a fear of our own faith or God's promises, because the Bible further says that if you have faith in God and have no doubt, you'll be able to move mountains. And it even goes further to say faith as little as the mustard seed. And once we expel doubt from our minds, we'd have the ability to move mountains. And mountains can be a lot of things, like not literal mountains. I would think figurative mountains. A mountain of financial difficulty, a mountain of not getting a job. This lighting. Okay, this is gonna be very shaky. So now the position has changed, and I feel like the camera is gonna be a bit shaky, but our lighting is not working. But we're going to continue. About to finish this. It's basically a measure of Ogoti. You are moving things that you wouldn't have thought you'd move simply because you have faith. But when you have doubt, you won't be able to. So why we shouldn't doubt, as I'm speaking, it's because you are leaning on your own understanding instead of the power of God, power and the will of God. Once you lean on your own understanding, you're going to try and apply logic. You're going to apply so many things into things that are God things, into things that only God can actually help to finalize. And once you continually do that, uzosbon. So there are certain things that are like, no matter how hard we try to make them our own, no matter how hard we try to convince ourselves that it's our abilities, but their finality and their fruition depends solely on God and most of the things. And I feel like, in my sake, in my case, everything. And now when you shift from that, you start, when you are believing God for a breakthrough for something, and you decide, okay, let me take this thing into my own hands, you're gonna end up with making decisions like those that were made by Abraham and Sarah, when they were told of, when God made a promise to them that he will give them a child. They decided, maybe God is taking too long. You know, when you come to like, maybe God is taking too long. Maybe I should take this opportunity that corrupts my character. Maybe I should take this opportunity that will break my relationship with God, that will take me away from God. And you end up in miserable. You end up with blessings that you don't want. That's what happened to Sarah. Sarah was like, I actually don't even want this this child that we now have with our slave, but because they took matters into their own hands. When you do that and not wait on God, because when God says something, he's going to do it. Like, you need to actually understand that he's going to do it. And you don't even need to just look into Sarah and Abraham to know, but how many people do you know of that have decided to take simple blessings of life into their own hands? Decision of taking a life partner. You're like, how do you take a life partner that's so far away from God and make them your spouse? How do you take a spouse that you can see that this person is just not from God and make them your spouse? It's simply because you want to get married so much, and then you're going to come and corrupt the institution of marriage and say it's not an institution that should be taken seriously anymore. When you took matters into your own hands, instead of waiting, as God said, wait. His promises are true, but he needs you to work on your character first. Like, when you look at Israel going into the promised land, they took so long because they were not patient. They wanted things to happen instantly. They started making things that were not supposed to be made their own on the way. And that's what we do. That's how you end up with having so many failed marriages, when the institution itself is blessed by God. But because you go and make covenants with people that are not from God. God will never give you a spouse that's going to take you away from Yena. God will never give you a spouse. Yes, we are called to be missionaries, but I don't think that God will make you somebody who is your helpmeet, who make you to be equally yoked with somebody who takes you away from him. Think about it. I don't think God will make you equally yoked with somebody who is in a relationship or is married with somebody else. Those are decisions that we make and take us further away from God. Anyways, I'm blabbing. So when you're in doubt, always remember that God says he has made foolish of the wisdom of man. That's what he says in 1 Corinthians 1 verse 20. Says his plans are far wiser than man's. So whenever you are thinking, okay, maybe this is not going to work out, maybe thinking that I'm going to be employed in a different city by end of April is too far-fetched when it's already the first or the last week of March. Maybe I'm too wild, but remember that God's wisdom makes foolish of any wise man. Like, remember that and have faith. And you know what you're going to have to do to expel doubt from your life is you're going to need to have faith. You're going to need to have faith, and faith is only found by meditating on the word of God and you hear what God has to say. Yes, praying is good. I've said this in my last video on Faith Talks as well. Praying is good, but you don't hear from God. It's only when meditating on the word of God that you hear from God. So this week, if you are seeking out to expel doubt from your life, if you are seeking out to trust God, maybe what you should do, instead of telling God that you want to have faith in him, maybe start praying with the word of God. Maybe start going through the word of God, meditating on the word of God, and you will see the difference that makes. Anyways, with that said, I think this video is way too long and my arm is very tired right now and it's shaky. I love you lots, and I'll see you on my next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. Bye.